I do not get bored, and in this video I'm going to share with you my action-based system called LARK that you can also use to avoid being bored, to ensure that every minute of life is intentionally used. When was the last time you were bored? Was it in the queue, in the traffic, at home, on a quiet Sunday afternoon? How would you even describe boredom? Perhaps it's a feeling of vague urgency, that need to do something better with our time, and yet a complete ignorance of how to actually fill that invisible space. Perhaps it's a feeling that we're not making progress or impact, that we're wasting our potential. An exhausting desire for time to go faster, for a deadline to be reached, for life to go on. The first part of this system is learning, and this is where I look at what skills I want to develop or what knowledge I want to acquire. Now, if you want to get started with the learn part of this system, then I would really recommend that you make a to-learn list. This can be on paper and with pen, or it can just be typed. It doesn't really matter. All you need to do is that you just make a list of things that you really want to learn, that you're excited to learn, that you're eager to dig deeper into. The things listed on your to-learn list might be things that you heard mentioned to you by a friend, or they might be something that you see other people doing. Some possible skills to learn might be to code, to illustrate, to paint, to cook, to learn graphic design, marketing, or public speaking. In this part of the phase, it doesn't really matter where you're learning from, so it might be a podcast, a book, a video, an instructor, a mentor, a network connection. Just be creative and ask where else can you learn from. The next part of the LARK system is to apply, and this is just the practical part of the learning phase. So it's to apply what you have been learning, maybe from reading, from listening, from speaking to another person. For example, if I'm reading gardening tips to grow tomatoes, application might come in the form of me watching my plant more closely and then removing the unhealthy leaves so that my entire plant can grow without catching a disease. If I watch a video that has really excellent lighting, then application might be me researching honeycomb grids for my film light. A question that you can use to get started with the apply part of this LARK system is, what experiments do you want to try out? Part 3 of the LARK system is to read and reflect. It's very connected to learning, but unlike just learning a single skill, this one is more intellectually focused. In this day and age, there are so many books for us to read, and so really expanding on this and giving ourselves the opportunity to read and expand our knowledge at a higher level can be really advantageous. Now, to get started with reading, questions that you might ask yourself are there any books that you are looking forward to reading? Have you seen any books that have recently made you curious? Or has anyone, recommended you books? And then to kick off the reflection phase, you might ask yourself, what are you trying to process or make sense of? What are you trying to dive deeper into? Part 4 of the LARK system is to create, and this is the part that links all of the 3 previous stages together. This involves generating ideas and making them a reality. It's about using our imagination. It is massively helpful if you can find out when you are most creative, what environmental and emotional factors bring your creativity to a really high level. Now, the way I think about this part of the LARK system is to add value, whether digitally or tangibly. Put simply, the creation part of the LARK system is just about making something that's really useful or interesting and sharing it with other people. Now, a question that you can ask here is, what do you know that can add insight or value to another person's life? Now, some notes that I want to mention before you start using the LARK system is that you have to get used to working in stages or phases on a project rather than always finishing it up in one sitting. Some projects take longer than others, so you have to be okay with kind of starting it, then letting it sit there, then coming back to it maybe a few hours later or maybe even a few weeks later. Also, once you really start using this and integrating the LARK system into your life, it kind of just flows very naturally. So there's not like this division of like, okay, on this day I'm going to do learning, on this day I'm going to do the applying, and then on this day reading and reflecting and so on. The question that you should associate with the LARK system is, when do you do your best work? Also really relevant to the LARK system is decreasing our digital distractions. So if you want to learn more about that, then watch the video over here. And if you enjoyed this video, I run a monthly newsletter, which is linked down below.